Hello, reading families. Thanks for another great couple of weeks in our reading program. I know I didn't do a video last week, so sorry about that. But the biggest reason for that is we're kind of focusing on the same concept this week and last week, and that concept is fluency. So the parent info sheet that I sent home last week was all about the big reading pillar of fluency. So basically what that means is your child reading quickly? Are they able to figure out what those sounds and words are quickly and automatically without having to think about it too much? This is a big hurdle that all kids have to get over before they are able to read for understanding. If they're putting all of their mental effort into just figuring out what that word is or reading that whole sentence, there's not a lot of brain power left over for them to actually concentrate on what they just read, what it means, remembering details. And as they get into the higher grades, obviously, they're not being taught how to read. They're having to read for understanding and read for getting information. So fluency is a really big deal. And a lot of the kids that we have this year in reading program are kind of struggling with that issue. They may know their letters pretty well. They may be able to read things pretty well, but can they do it quickly? Not so much. Can they do it without needing a lot of help and start overs and all that stuff? Not so much. And that makes it really difficult for them to then understand what they're actually reading. So a lot of the activities that we've been doing are really focusing on that fluency, on that speed, on making it automatic for them to be able to know what they're reading. So at this point, I hope that you're all familiar with the fluency drills that I send home frequently that look like this, right? So you've continued to get several of these each week. And these are so helpful for working on that fluency. And once you've done those, you don't have to, don't just throw that paper away. Hang on to it. Keep it. Keep a folder of all these. If you need extra copies of any of these, or if you want more of them, let me know. I can give you more of these. If you'd like to, laminate copies that you have and hang on to them and use them over and over again, that would be fantastic. The more you repeat these fluency drills, the better it is for your child. So some of you are still getting ones that have single words, some that have kind of sound combinations. Some of you are getting ones that have these short phrases on them. So, keep working on those. If there's one that your child is still kind of struggling with, keep doing that one. Do it just even one time a day, a couple times a day, whatever. And repeat them over and over again. Just because they've done them once before doesn't mean they're not going to benefit from more repetition. That's kind of the essence of fluency practice, is letting them repeat things over and over again. Helps build up their confidence and makes it easier for them to kind of figure out what it is that they're doing with reading and decoding. So you'll continue to get more of these fluency drills. Keep doing those with them. There's also been some sheets sent home lately that look like this. There's a front and a back side with these funky little sounds on them. So what we're doing with these in sessions is called Magic Spoons. They've got little spoons with letters written on them, and we put the letters in front of each word and build different words. Let me grab my spoon here. So for instance, if a child picked out this spoon that has an M on it, put it over here so you can see, and then we would put that M in front, and they build man or med, mop, mig, mud. So obviously not all of these are going to be real words. Sometimes they're building nonsense words, mip or man, I guess mab. Some of those, mab. They're not actually real words, but that's still good practice, just decoding what those sounds, when you put them together, what sounds that makes, what that even nonsense word is. So you can do this activity at home also using the little letter tiles that you have, or again, Scrabble letters, other magnetic letters from the fridge, whatever you have. Grab one of those letters, put it in front, and help your child build words with these combinations. So obviously one side has just 2-word combinations. The other side has 2-letter combinations. The other side has 3-letter combinations. So you can practice doing that word building activity with these sheets. You can also use these sheets just like the fluency drills. So even without building a word, you can just have your child, okay, as fast as you can, tell me what sounds these make. An, ed, op, ig, ud. And see if they can, see if they can just tell you and go through really quickly what those combinations are. These are common letter combinations that they're going to see as they're reading words. And it's helpful for them to just drill this to help them read words more quickly. Same thing with those 3-letter combinations on the back. Int, ash, ik, if. So those are just word endings. They're not full words, but you can still have them do a fluency drill type exercise, just going through and reading these as quickly as they can. Let's see. Other things that have been sent home recently. This week I sent home a sentence activity with some of the kids. This is something that we did in the session also. If you read these instructions over here, this is similar to what we did. So this is one paper where we are actually kind of following the directions that are on the paper. Have your child count the words that are in the sentences. You can help them actually count the words looking at the sentence to help them develop that kind of print awareness. You can also just say the sentence out loud for them. So say, okay, we have fun. How many words are in that sentence? And see if they can tell you, oh, we had fun. Seems like a very simple idea, but honestly, this is something that a lot of kids kind of struggle with, understanding where one word stops, one word begins. It's similar to in the alphabet when we say LMNO. A lot of kids think that that's all one letter because they hear it all blended together when it's actually separate letters. Same thing with some words and sentences. Kids don't always understand where one word starts, one word ends. So that's a good activity to do. The other activity, the fill-in words activity that's listed down here, has you draw a line, just a blank for each word that's in the sentence, so that your child can actually tap along with those blanks as they say, repeat a sentence back to you. So you would draw 4 lines and say, the grass is green, and have your child tap. Okay, what's this first one? The. What's the second line? Grass. What's the third line? Is. And what's that fourth line? Green. See if they can actually tell you which word goes where. Another paper that you'll see some of the kids took home this week, and some of them actually had some of these last week also. These little stories, little fluency stories, and some of them will have drawings in here. They've been illustrating some of the stories. So with these, we've been practicing reading these, and again, working on that fluency piece, we're repeating these over and over. So the kids will take turns reading one of the boxes, and then another kid will read the next box, and then another kid will read the last box, and then we'll do it all over again, and we'll switch and have them do different boxes. We'll all read it together, we'll switch who reads what part, but we're reading this multiple times, 3, 4, 5 times over and over again. We're practicing that speed, we're practicing making it sound natural. So as opposed to the hall was such, okay, that's not how we talk, right? And that makes it hard to understand what you're reading when you're reading it so slowly and with that kind of robot voice. So as they read it more and more times and start to get more familiar with it, then they're able to go quickly and they're able to put in that natural rhythm and speech to what they're saying. So the hall was such a big mess. So that's a lot easier to understand, and it goes a lot quicker. So repeat these over and over with your kid and help them, develop that automatic reading of these. Another thing that some of you saw last week, some kids came home with some neon colored paper strips that had single words with punctuation marks. So things like and, exclamation mark, or the with a question mark. So that was an activity we were doing to help the kids pay attention to punctuation in the sentences. So if you've got one of those laying around, something you could do with that is just help your child read that strip and put the correct inflection that's made by that punctuation mark. That's another thing with the fluency as well. Once they get familiar with those words, we start talking about the punctuation. So the hall was such a big mess with an exclamation mark at the end of it. That gives it that extra oomph and helps them understand what it is that they're reading. Some other things that have been sent home, these what we call glued sounds, the A and K, I and K, O and K, U and K, same thing with the G's. So this is something we've been practicing with a lot of the kids too, is recognizing these patterns within words. That when you see those letter combinations together, you're not going to sound out k. That's just ank, right? Ank, ink, onk. And then the same with the G's, ang, ing, ong, There's been a couple worksheets that we've done with those in sessions also. Some of you came home yesterday with this paper. I think we got the first half of those done in session. The other ones you can do with your child at home. So just like it says at the top, you're going to figure out which combination actually makes a word in those blanks. And if they both make a word, for instance, wing and wink are both appropriate, pick one, write them both, whatever you want to do. It's just to help get some familiarity with those letter combinations. There's been another couple of blend worksheets that have gone home also. These should have been completed in the session though, so you can just have your child kind of go over these, explain what it is that they did, help them review these papers. Again, looking at those different letter combinations, how those go together, what sounds they make together, and building words with those different combinations. One more thing. Oh, this is the last one, I think, recently that's gone home, is working on final sounds. So some kids took this one home also, still focusing on that sound awareness of words, just understanding, okay, when I say farm, what's the last sound in that word? Final sounds are usually trickier than the initial sounds. Most of our kids have gotten real good with those initial sounds. They can tell me the first sound in farm is f, but then when I say, okay, what's the last sound? Then we don't know that one quite so well sometimes. So listening for that final sound in a word, farm. And when you're going over this activity with your kids, make sure you're really emphasizing that last sound, just like that. Farm. What's the last sound you heard me say? Or tap, tap. What's the last sound you heard me say when I said tap? Make it really clear that that last sound is that p sound, and help them out so they can start to identify those last sounds. So those are some of the worksheets and things that have gone home in the last couple weeks. Once again, if you have any questions about anything at all, feel free to get in touch with me. My contact info should still be on this page. Jessica Gifford at needspeech.com, or my number here, 910-488-4100, extension 225. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to get in touch. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you next Monday for our second to last week of reading program. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.